As the first member of Congress to endorse Donald Trump, I also want to thank Senator Sessions, who has stood with me from the beginning in support of Donald Trump.
As he mentioned, very proudly I might add, Chris Collins was one of the first GOP lawmakers to back Donald Trump before the 2016 election, the first House Republican to endorse Trump as he was running, and he's been forced to resign because he's definitely going to plead guilty this afternoon to a variety of charges. Shocking. A Trump ally who's committed a law-breaking offense? Color me shocked. I just can't believe it. New York GOP Representative Chris Collins is resigning ahead of a hearing related to insider trading charges, according to the Buffalo News. Collins, who has previously entered a not guilty plea in his federal criminal fraud case, has a change of plea hearing scheduled for Tuesday afternoon, raising the possibility that the New York Republican could agree to a deal offered by federal prosecutors. So he's just going to admit that he did it. And what is it that he's accused of? Collins faces 8 counts of federal criminal charges involving conspiracy to commit securities fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and false statements. What a thug. Lock him up, to paraphrase someone named Donald Trump, a guy who also promised to drain the swamp, by the way, drain Washington, D.C. of corruption, of shady dealings, of people using their position for personal gain. And that's exactly what Chris Collins did. Drain that swamp. Collins was the largest investor and a member of the board of directors for Innate Immunotherapeutics, an Australian biotech company. He was charged with passing inside information on the company to his son and another defendant, Stephen Zarsky, father of Cameron Collins' fiancée. Using that information, Cameron Collins and Zarsky were able to avoid hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses after a drug trial failed, authorities say. You know, first of all, there's a conflict of interest when you are the largest shareholder in a biotech company and you're making healthcare policy. But put that aside, the larger point, what's frustrating about Trump is that he took rightful anger about corruption and then he turned it into just another political trick. Because look at these guys. He was saying drain the swamp, Collins. Swampy as it gets. And so people now were fooled into believing that the ultimate political insider was going to challenge corruption and change corruption. Because you know what? The American people hate the corruption. They want it gone. And they misplaced their belief in a trickster like Donald Trump. And so then you have all the people around him with all of this illegal behavior, the swampiest of the swamp, and the #1 congressman who had his back, now probably going to prison, had to resign because he's involved in this trial and all of that. So that's one of the many things that Trump has done as a disservice to this country, is co-opted the conversation about corruption and made it like he's the one who's actually going to combat it, and then that it's like the Democrats that are corrupt. More reason for Democrats to not take any of that corporate money and unilaterally disarm, so that they can have the higher ground when talking to someone like Donald Trump and potentially running against him in 2020.